Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to continue on identity and access management. If you haven't seen my previous video, please watch that video before watching this. I will put the link of that video in my description. Now, in today's video, let us start with what is multi-factor authentication. So click on your profile name here and then select My Security Credentials. Under Security Credentials, the first thing you will see your password. Here you can change the password of your root account if you required. We will use the second option called multi-factor authentication. Now this increases the security. Now basically when you log in into your AWS console, you will log in using your password. In addition to your password, you can use any third-party device to authenticate your session. So that is called multi-factor authentication. So click on Activate MFA. Now select virtual MFA device. So for this you need to have an authenticator app installed in your Android app or iOS. So let me show you which app I am using. I am using this app called Google Authenticator. There are many other apps which can authenticate for you. This is easily available in Android Play Store. So you can even Google some other authenticator tools which AWS supports. So this is the one I use and widely used. So let me go back to the AWS console now. Once you have that app installed, open that app and click on the plus symbol. You should be able to see two options: scan a QR code and enter a setup key. Click on scan a QR code and then on the AWS screen click on continue. Here you should be able to see a QR code screen. Click on show QR code and scan this image through your mobile camera. Once you scan it, you should be able to see a 6-digit PIN on your screen under the name of Amazon Web Services, which keeps changing frequently in the interval of 10 seconds. So whatever number you see on your screen, enter it here. After some times, once the number refreshes on your screen, enter the second code as well. Let us wait for some time until the number changes on my Android device. So I'm entering the second number. Once I do that, click Assign MFA. Now that the MFA is being set up, now let me log out and log in for you. So I'm signing out. Now I'm signing it back. This time it will ask for the password and I'm logging in through my root user. Next, um, this is the password, and after the password it will ask for the MFA code. So once again you go back to your Google Authenticator app and enter the number which you see on the screen. So guys, this is how I log in. So this is a double security. You will be secured or authenticated by your password and the multi-factor authentication code. So even if your account is hacked, you can still secure your account with your multi-factor authentication which is set up in your Android device. Now let us say I'm having an application like Instagram where the users can upload their images. So if I want to deploy this application on cloud, suppose in EC2 instance, then the application should be able to access S3 bucket to store all the images in it. So in that case, I need to enable the connection between EC2 and S3 so these two services can talk to each other. So how do I do that? So if I'm trying to deploy in cloud, then I can just create a policy and then attach this policy to a particular role and then assign this role to an EC2 instance. Say for example, if I have to communicate to S3, so there is a pre-built inbuilt policy called S3 full access. So I will attach this policy to my role and then assign this role to my EC2 instance, following which the EC2 instance will be able to communicate with S3. So my application can upload the images into S3 bucket. But for some reason, if I decided to deploy my application on premise, in that case I can't create a role and assign it to the server because it is not managed in cloud. So in that case, I have to create access keys and then save these keys in credentials folder in the server, following which my application will be able to connect to S3. So let us see a small demo on both the use case. First, let me go to cloud and create an EC2 instance and then try to connect to my S3, following which I will use my laptop as an on-premise server and show you how to connect to S3 bucket from your laptop. Now let us go to our console. First thing, you have to create a role. Let me click on roles and create a role. So we need to create this role which will be attached to an EC2 instance. So let me click EC2 here and then go to permissions. Here I have to see which policy I can attach to my role. If the policy is not available by default, I have to create a policy. But let me search which policies are there available for S3. So I have two policies, one is S3 full access and S3 read-only access. So let me give S3 read-only access and give next and next. Let me give a name to my role called EC2 full access S3. You have given only read-only, so let me change it to read-only access S3. Alright, and now we are creating this role. So now that our role is ready, we need to attach this role to our EC2. So let me go back to my EC2. Let me launch my EC2 instance now. Let me select Amazon Linux 2 AMI. It's right here. Select, go to the next screen. T2 micro, configure instance and add storage. I'll just swipe to these screens. It's not necessary. You're just interested in security groups, and that's it. Go to this instance and let me log in immediately. Started. So let me copy this IP address and let me go to my putty. EC2-user at the rate IP address. Go to SSH. And open. Yes. Alright, so now that we have logged in, let me get the root access. And then let me try some basic commands. Okay, how about get the list of all buckets in my S3? So how do I do that? AWS followed by the service name. So I'm interested in S3 and then the action which I want to take. So I want to get the list of all the buckets. So ls. So it says that unable to locate the credentials. So now what I have to do is attach the role to this EC2 instance and then come back to this putty. So let me go back to my EC2 instance, select the EC2, go to actions, go to action settings, attach and replace IAM role. Let me select this role EC2 read only access S3, click on apply. Now let us try the same command again. AWS, and this should give me a list of all the buckets in my account. So as you can see, it is clearly giving me 3 buckets. So let me verify. Let me quickly go to the S3 and show you. Where is S3? Here it is. So I should be seeing 3 buckets now. So these are the 3 buckets which it was listed here. So now it is confirmed that we can communicate with S3 service from our EC2. So similarly, you can try your hands with various other commands. Let me show you one another command which is interesting. It is like if I want to see the metadata information of my bucket. So there's something called AWS S3 API list hyphen objects hyphen bucket followed by the bucket name. Let me give the first bucket name S3 bucket 123890. Let's see what it returns. So this is giving me instant information like the last modified date, what is the storage class, and who's the owner of these things, and what is the size of this bucket. So it gives me the complete metadata information of my bucket. So similarly, we have attached only read-only access, so I can only carry out certain operations. I cannot upload a file or delete a bucket. For that, I need to attach the full access. So now that we have seen how to establish a connection between an EC2 instance and S3, now let us see the same if you are planning to establish a connection from a server which is running on premises to your S3. So for that, I'll be using my local laptop. So let me close this Qt session. So if I have to establish the connection, I need a set of access keys which I have to generate and then use that access keys to communicate with the AWS S3. So how do I create an access keys? First click on your username and then go to my security credentials. Inside my security credentials, that is wait until the screen loads. Yeah, click on access keys. So here you have to create an access key. Let me create and then show access. So this is the access key ID and secret access key that I will be using to establish a connection to any services in AWS. So let me copy this, or I can also download this key file. This will create a CSV file. So we don't need this. Let me close it. Now the next step is you have to install your AWS CLI, a command line interface on your server. In my local command prompt or in my system I have already installed. So let me go to my CMD command prompt and just give AWS. So this should complain something like the command is not full. So if I give AWS help, so at least you can verify that the CLI has been installed already. So if I just scroll down, it gives me a lot of options and what all services that I can use to communicate with. So let me clear the screen and then try to give the same command. So this should basically complain that it is not able to connect. So AWS service name ls. So it says invalid access key. So it is expecting the access key which we just generated. So how do I establish or give this access key? So let me give to AWS configure. So it will ask for certain information like access key ID. So let me keep the notepad handy where I have copied the access. Let me copy my access key ID. Alright, and secret key, let me copy this. Alright, region is optional, so I can choose not to give. Default output format is JSON, and yes. So now that I have given the access key ID and access secret key, now let me try this command. So now it should work for me. Yeah guys, as you can see, it is able to give me the list of all the buckets in my AWS. Similarly, I can use any commands. I don't need to attach any role. I just need to create an access and configure that access in my server. So what actually happens when I give this command AWS configure is that this will create a credentials file in my base path of my server. So if you're using a Windows PC, it will create a credentials file in C colon users. Inside that, there'll be a folder name in your user. Inside that, there'll be a .aws folder. If you go to the .aws folder, you can see two files called config and credentials. So if you open the credentials file, you should be able to see these access key ID and access secret key, which we just gave. So let me show you that. So guys, this is the file I was talking about. So C drive users, this is my folder with my username, and then .aws. So if I open this credentials, this should have the access key ID and access secret key, which we just gave. All right. So if it is a Linux, then it will save it in a different folder structure. Let me show you in which folder will it save it in Linux system. So if you're using a Linux, it should save it in .aws/config. If it is a Windows, then you should be able to see it in C users username .aws, and then the file is called credential where the AWS access keys are saved. Now, initially when you log into your server and insert any command, there's a certain precedence in which it will check. First, it will check whether you have given those commands as part of the command line arguments. If not, then second, it will check the environment variables. So it will check for environment variables called AWS underscore access underscore key underscore ID. If you have not set these environment variables, then the third, it will check for the credentials file which is saved in the server locally in the hard disk. If not, then it will check for any role which has been assigned. If you're running your application on premise, then the fourth point will not be valid because you can't assign any role. So it will check, the first option is the command line option. Second one, it will check for any environment variables which is set in the server. If not, it will look out for the credentials file in the respective folder structure. So this is the precedence in which it will check for the access keys. Okay guys, that's it for today's demo. So we have basically seen how to run your instance and how to give access to connect your EC2 instance with your S3, both on-prem and on cloud. Thank you for watching today's video, and stay tuned by clicking the subscribe button and bell icon to watch our further interesting videos which I'll be uploading in my channel. Thank you so much.